everyone. We are back from this morning. We are here with one of our judges, ELTÍO, and he's going to take us through the perma-web deployment process that you guys can utilize with your landing pages and things that you build. So, without any fluff, I'm going to introduce ELTÍO, and of course, Sarah's here, and he's going to basically take you through it.
Yes. Can you all hear me okay?
You sound wonderful. I hope that you've had a pleasant day. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending the time and energy. As most people know, I've been mentioning too, Arweave is working on their own hackathon upcoming. So, there's lots of things going on in the ecosystem. And for you to take the time out of today to help all of our hackathoners, document their journey in a permanent way is something I really appreciate. And I thank you. I thank you for being here. And I appreciate your presence in my world. So for those that don't know, ELTÍO has just a huge groups, lots of different communities that he is a part of. He is the author and creator of the Hood Rats NFT, and also a host in many different places, but he hosted his space called La Babelia, which is a multilingual space on X, as well as many other things. But he is also the lead of Bazaar. Bazaar is a part of the Arweave ecosystem. And so after you learn how to document your process and do all of these wonderful things, I encourage each and every one of you to go and check out Bazaar. Learn how to add your own sundries, as they say, up into the marketplace. And should you have any questions, comments, or concerns, obviously you can leave them in the Slack channel, and I will be monitoring them as best as I can live. So without any other fanfare, welcome ELTÍO. Happy, Thursday afternoon. How are you?
Yes. Yes, it is. Doing well, of course, going through some technical difficulties at the moment because for some reason the browser that I'm using to chat with you with, it disappeared because I have so many apps. So I'm working on getting that back on, and I may just have to quickly shut down Brave and join back the stream if that's okay.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
So if you give me a minute, I apologize to everyone that's watching. My apologies. It's just sometimes these things happen. So I'm gonna drop out for like a minute and come back in if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Hakuna Matata. I'm going to be adding all of the links that ELTÍO has given us. I'm copying them one at a time and adding them to the Slack channel for your benefit. I'm not going to put headings on all of these, just so you know, but these are things that you're going to need to get started. So as I continue to add them, you're going to learn a lot about what the, oops, sorry, Ross is choking to death. I don't want him to do that. Um, as you're adding all of these links, you're going to learn more about the Arweave ecosystem. There are quite a few things. It's a very interesting thing. Whether you are a content creator, whether you are a documenter or an archiver, these are all things that are very valuable in terms of what it means to have permanence when it comes to your documentation. Permanence on the web. Many of you are familiar with link rot, and that is when you show up to something and you know what, the link is no longer there. Those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about, especially in the Arweave community. I will tell you, while ELTÍO is out running and doing his lab, one of the things that I have personally used Arweave for is to document my own lunar mission. So in order to have the chain of custody in terms of evidence, we needed a way that would be permanent for our use case. NASA and some of the projects that are off-world, I think it's called Iris, which is not me, although my persona is Iris, obviously in the Sketchy Labs. But one of the projects that was sent off-world is basically taking the DNA of humans and trapping data in it. And they happen to use Arweave also in tandem with their technology, which is really important. And we've had a number of people ask, how do I document my process? How do I make sure and safeguard my IP? How do I make sure that I'm getting proper attribution? These are the kinds of tools that you need to have in your toolbox. How do you create your own, let's say, media channel where you own the data, where people can't just copy and steal it? These are the kinds of things that you would use in order to document your process. So I'm just making sure that I am adding them all in the Slack channel, and hopefully I'm doing it correctly. So we're waiting for Tio to kind of return, and I do see that he's here.
Yes, I'm just waiting for him to let me know what to share or when.
Excellent. I will say too, for those of you that were here this morning, ELTÍO mentioned ARNS. Now, that is a domain, perma domain. So he is going to go over that a little bit. Do you have to have AR in order to, buy your stuff? No, not necessarily. There are lots of interesting ways and bridges. So if you don't like the dabble in the dark arts of pirate money, there are lots of ways that we can make sure you are integrated into the system. So without further fanfare, I'm going to test Tio's mic, and then we're going to get his presentation up. Tio, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I am back, and all seems to be working now. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, my friends. Yes, sir.
Amazing.
So we're going to see your project in a little bit. For those that are listening live, this is recorded. We know that you're in all different time zones, but one of the wonderful things about Bazaar, about Arweave, about ArDrive, all of the entire ecosystem, is that they are very, one of their core ethos, it definitely matches tech in schools. Education is really important, making sure people have the right tools to tell their story, making sure that their story doesn't get erased. Those are very key and core North Star principles, for lack of a better term. And the partnership with TSI, especially working with inner city kids and folks that may or may not have the tools for the success that they envision, these make a very good partnership, because Arweave is guaranteeing and safeguarding the stories of today to be enjoyed by the people of tomorrow. So I think it's really awesome. And I think we have everything almost ready. ELTÍO, when we're ready, we're ready. All of your links are copied in the Slack channel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And yeah, Ross, if you can share the screen again, I have the right one. And what we're gonna do is is try to teach you guys how to take any app that you're building. There are a few requirements for these apps to work on Arweave. For example, if you create a React app, you have to make sure you use something called hash routing, mostly because this is all going to live on Arweave. So when you move from a page in your website to another, you have to make sure you use a static form to move around, and that's what React routing does. It helps you not depend on a server. So there are specific apps that work and how you have to build them, but we're going to go through that now. And we're also going to touch on RNS, like Sarah mentioned. And if anyone here is familiar with ENSs or domain names, it's kind of a similar concept. But on Arweave, we use it as a way to navigate easily to any sorts of data or folders on Arweave. So you don't have to use a 43 character long hash, for example. So we'll touch on that. And right now, what you're seeing on the screen is one of our main documentation pages. This called the cookbook. And if you visit the site later on, it's actually the best resource that you can find to learn about the L1 Arweave technology, which is where we're going to be storing the data on. And then later on, I'm also going to share the AO documentation, which is another piece of technology that is much newer, and it works on top of Arwave. But we won't have to touch on that today too much, but I will share the link, and I think Sarah already shared it in Slack. So you guys can look at it in your own time and at your own pace. But bear with me. This is going to be a little difficult to go through because I'm going to try to do it live, and we're going to spin up a fresh app in a Cursor. And if you don't know, Cursor is another IDE similar to VS Code, but it works with AI. And the goal is here to build a website, build an app, a simple app using the Vite starter kits. And then once we have it where we need it to be, we're going to deploy it with just a command using a package called PermaWeb Deploy. It will require you to spin up a simple Arweave wallet, and we're going to do that also in the command line. And because we need to upload it to Arweave, you will need to do this to replicate it yourself. You will need a little bit of some tokens, and they're specifically called turbo tokens. And you can buy them, and I'll share the link to the platform. With many tokens, you can buy them with ETH. You can buy them with Matic, for example, or what I'm going to use, which is the native L1 AR token. Before I continue, I heard someone
also use your
unmute.
credit card too, by the way.
Correct.
Yep, I know. Yep.
Yeah, the RIO team, which is behind Turbo and also all of the gateways that make up the PermaWeb, they've done a great job of making this entire process interoperable and also kind to Web2 natives, I would say. So you can also use a credit card to buy Turbo, and as long as those tokens are in the same wallet that we're going to use to deploy the sites, it should work flawlessly. But we're going to go through all of that. And if you guys miss anything or we run out of time, you can always jump into the Bazaar Discord. I run that Discord, and I'm more than happy to continue to help you with your journey. So let's give this a go. So what you're seeing here is the specific documentation page that walks you step by step on how to create a simple app using Bytes and the React Starter Kit. And then once you have that running, we're going to install a few dependencies. We're going to need, of course, you need to make sure you have NPM and Node installed in your machine, but that's the same for any sorts of app that you're building. It doesn't have to necessarily be on Arweave. And then we're going to install this package here, React Router Dome, and that's going to give us the hash routing that I was talking about before, which we need, again, so that everything can load correctly once we upload it to Arweave. Otherwise, you're going to have a HTML page with no styling, no assets loading on screen, and we don't want that. But it also gives you the benefit of making the website completely self-sufficient. And as Sarah said, on Arweave, whatever you upload to Arweave has permanence for 200 years minimum. So this website is going to live on after we're all gone here. And it does get rid of 404 errors and link rots. So let's, yes, go ahead.
Just real quick, LTO, you do not have to have a public-facing drive, for lack of a better term. If you want everything to be private, that's fine too, and it too will be permanent. There are other options. It's not like, hey, here's my underwear. You know what I mean? You have choice and you have dominion. That is one of the core ethos of Arweave, is that you choose your own adventure and you're able to call the shots, especially when it comes to royalties and licensing, who gets to see it, who doesn't get to see it. So just write that on the sticky note, and LTO will probably go over that too. Go ahead.
Yes, no, thank you for mentioning that. But it's important to also point out that since we're building a website that we want to be live on the internet, it must be public facing for this scenario. But yes, if you use a tool like ArDrive, they allow you to create private drives on their platform. And for anyone that does not know what ArDrive is, it's basically the Arweave version of Google Drive. You can easily drag and drop a file and upload it to Arweave. But they also have private drives. And the way they make it work is they encrypt the data before uploading it to Arweave, and only your unique wallet can basically unencrypt the data when you read it. But this is not a good method if you want to make the website public. You must make sure that all the files are public on Arweave. But you do have that alternative if you have something more delicate that you want to store on Arweave, but make private. That is a good feature that they have as well. And anyone can also build this in. They're just leveraging other packages to encrypt the data before uploading it to Arweave. It's just for the moment, OurDrive, they're the only team that has taken upon themselves to add it to their platform. But anyone can build any app, upload to Arweave using a few libraries that I'm going to share with you guys, and encrypt the data if that's something that you want to add to your app as well. So I'll run down this documentation just to share what we're going to do, and then we're going to try it ourselves as well. So once we have the app running, you're just going to run this command here. That should spin up a scaffolded app that you can use. When you do run this command, make sure to select a React app, because there are some configurations when you run these sort of scaffolding tools, and also choose TypeScript. And that's going to make sure that the language that the app is written in is on TypeScript, and also that it's a React app, which is what we need for the moment. Then once you do that, you're going to CD into your application. Like always, make sure you install all the dependencies by running npm install. And once that's done, then we're going to install the dependencies that we need for our specific use case. So like I said before, we're going to add React Router DOM. That's going to give us the hash routing that we need. And then we're going to create a few files. It's going to be a simple website, but honestly, once you have this foundation, you can build anything on top of it, add APIs or any other tooling that you want, and upload it the same way, and have a fully functional website on Arweave. And then after we build, just spin up a file, a few files. We're going to create a home file and a about page. We're going to add a few divs and some other information that we need, save it. And then once we do that, we're going to modify a few parts of the app.tsx file, and then also the CSS index.css. And it's a pretty simple process once we do that. And I'm sure many of you guys that are participating in the hackathon are familiar with this process, because you probably had to do something similar to this through your journey. Once we do that, we're going to run the test version of the app to make sure it's working. And because we're working with hash routing, we got to also modify the configuration in our Vite config ts file. And all we're going to add is this base tag here, this base variable here. And even though this doesn't have anything in there, what we're going to add is ./. And that's just going to tell, is going to let Arweave know where the assets that go along with our apps live. For example, images, CSS files, and whatnot. And then once that's done, we're going to build our app. And if everything looks good, we can spin up a wallet just by installing this Arweave dependency right in our terminal, and spin up a wallet instantly from Arweave. And then that wallet we can, for example, import into Wander, which is a digital wallet app that you can use to transact and transfer tokens with. But more importantly, is what we're going to need in order to upload the entire app onto Arweave. So once we do that, and we have the funds that we need, the turbo tokens, and we'll go through that quickly in a minute, then we're going to install PermaWeb Deploy, which we're going to use to deploy the app to Arweave. And then in our package.json, we're going to add this one deploy script. And very important, once you register your RNS, basically the RNS is a part of this AO process contract, and the contract itself has a unique identifier. And I'll show you guys where it is and how to find it in a minute, but I just thought it would be important to go over it quickly. That hash, that ID that represents our RNS, we're going to add it here where it says ant process. And there's another way to do it as well. We can just add the RNS name itself. And I think we're going to take that route because it makes it much more simpler. We're just going to change the flag to RNS and then provide the name. And that will work exactly the same way. And once we build the file and run the deploy, it's going to automatically do everything for us. It's going to upload the entire build folder. It's going to take the hash once it's uploaded and then add it to the RNS record. And you should have a site available soon after. So let's run you guys through it. Before I get away from this screen, because I'm going to have to switch screens, I'm going to show you really quickly what the Turbo page looks like. So when you guys are ready to get some Turbo credits, which we will need to upload everything to Arweave, you can just go to this link, which Sarah also shared in the Slack. And like she said, you can use USDC, your credit card, or I already have AR tokens in my wallet. I'm going to choose that. As you see here, my wallet is already connected, so I can just simply select the amount, hit next, and those tokens should be in my wallet. And that's going to allow us to proceed. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to jump in real quick, folks, I will tell you, I documented my entire lunar mission, 3 of them now, and it didn't even cost me $25, right? So these tokens, when you have them right now, it is very, very reasonable in terms of collection. And I will tell you, as Arweave continues to expand, it's always like wanting to get in early. You wanted to buy Bitcoin in 2010, right? So it's kind of one of those things. But just to be fully transparent, this is not going to cost you an arm and a leg. It is very reasonable, and having it on that credit card, the prepaid card that we have mentioned before, would be very smart. This would be a good use for it. So I just want to put that in there because we don't want anybody to freak out. It is very, very easy and very reasonable. So there you are. Go ahead, LTO. I apologize for the interruption.
No, not at all. It's very helpful. Thank you. And Ross, yeah, I'm sharing perfect. I see that you can see my cursor IDE. So I'm going to be working in the IDE, so I won't be looking at StreamYard. So I hope everything looks okay. And Sarah and Ross, if you see anything that's wrong, please let me know, because I do not have a visual. I'm just looking at my IDE for the moment. But as you can see here, I already have an app that I kind of built to kind of get us started. But I want to do this fresh, so we can do this together. So I'm going to CD out of this app, and I'm going to create a new one, right? And then we're going to start fresh. So we're just basically going to follow the same steps that I ran you through really quickly. I already installed my dependencies, but make sure you have either Node.js versions 15 and above. If you're going to work with Git later on, because that's something that you can do, you can automate the entire process so that anytime you push to your repository on GitHub and you merge with main, a YAML file will automatically run the same process of deploying the build file onto Arweave instantly. And that's a very nice use case for people that prefer to use something like GitHub. And it's actually the way that everyone works. You use repositories to manage your code, and it's nice to have this feature where you can automate the process of deploying it, similarly to how you would do in Vercel or something like that. And by the way, I will share another link, actually another platform called Rlink, which basically is Vercel for Arweave. So if you want to do this in a nice UI, similar to Vercel, you can go to arlink.ar.io, and you'll find the websites, and you can easily either connect it to your GitHub and bring over some repositories and deploy it to Arweave with a few clicks of the button, or you can just start fresh and deploy anything from your local machine as well. All right, so to get us started here, the first thing I'm going to do is create my Vite React app. And as you can see, I'm just going to copy paste the command in the terminal. Let me just get rid of this run command. And you'll see that it's going to start doing its magic. And these scaffolding tools are great because, like Sarah says many times, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to learn how to use the tools available to you. Perfect. So, oh, I didn't see the outs. My apologies. So let's cancel this. We're gonna, hold on. Okay, let's just change the name of the app. See that. Yeah, that worked. So once I ran that command, now the tool, and I hope you guys can see my terminal. Just want to make sure. Yeah, you should be able to see it. Once we start, the tool is going to ask us what language do we want to code our app in. I'm going to use React, and well, it's a React app, and I'm going to use TypeScript for the language. And then once you do that, it instantly creates your application. So what I will do here is, yeah, I'm going to just work from this terminal. So we're going to cd into our new app, which is called My Arweave. And you can call this whatever you want. And then once I'm in there, I'm going to run the other commands. And we're going to go through this fairly quickly because I know we're probably going to run out of time. But first thing I want to do is install all the dependencies that are in the package.json file. So npm install. You're going to see it do its thing. Okay. And once that's done, it shouldn't take too long. There you go. It's ready. We're going to install React DOM that I mentioned. So let me just grab the hash for that. Okay. Let me just grab it from over here because I took some notes, but I guess I missed that part. Okay, 1 second. But like I said, all this is in the links that we shared. All I'm doing is navigating to the page so I can do it with you guys here live. Here we go. Okay, let me grab this piece of code snippet here. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. And it's just npm install react router DOM. That's what we're going to run now. And that's going to install the dependency that we need for our app. Let me see, I lost the window. Okay, there we go. So I just pasted it, enter, and it's going to install that dependency for us. Soon after that, we pretty much have most of what we need to, we'll create our app, customize it as we please, and then deploy it to Arweave. So at this point, because of the way I'm going to structure my app, I'm going to, let me see if I can split this screen to make my life a little easier. Yes. So I'm going to just open that folder. And sorry that I have another app here. It's a little confusing. I'm trying to avoid switching screens. So, but we're focused on My Arweave. That's the app that we're working on. So as you can see here, it has a basic application for us. And in the source folder, we're going to add 2 new files. We're going to add a home.tsx, and we're also going to add an about page. About.tsx. Perfect. Now, the code that I'm going to paste in here is also in the documentation. But, for time's sake, I'm just going to copy and paste it and then walk you guys through it. Okay, we're going to go here. This is our about page. Here we go. We're going to paste it here. And as you can see, we're just importing the tool that we installed, React Router DOM. That's going to give us the hash routing. And we're also setting up the hash routing. So as you can see, it's easy to link from one page to another, just making use of this links class and then setting it to the page in your application where you want to navigate to. So this is going to create a home link button, and when we click on it, it's going to take us to the home page, right? And then we're going to do the same on the home page. So we're going to grab the code that I already have pre-made and ready to use. But you'll see it's the same structure. We're importing React Router DOM, and then same thing. We're adding the link class and setting where that page lives, the about page, so we can link to it later on. And then once we do that, make sure you save. We're going to just modify 2 files that were scaffolded for us. And this is the app.tsx. I have this ready, so let me just copy the code and you'll see the magic do its thing. All this is like pre-built code that is given to you when you first build your scaffolded application, but we don't need any of this. Like, we're building something simple so that you guys can continue to work on it later on. But the goal is that you have a basic of an understanding of on how you can host websites on Arweave, similarly to how you do on centralized platforms. So in this main app TSX, which is the entry points into our application, we're importing a few classes from React Router DOM. We're initializing our application. And then we also have two links that we're adding to both of our new pages. And that's pretty much it for that. And then the last thing we need to edit, and I promise we will move on, is our index.css to make sure we have the styling that we need. Usually this takes a little longer to do, and I know these things could be a little complex, but since you guys are hacking and you're probably doing something similar, I thought it would be good to share this with you as well.
Also, LTO, I have one question that you definitely could answer.
Yes.
Sharon said, why would we build an app on Arweave? I'm trying to understand what would be the purpose of putting an app there.
Good question. It's a perfect question. And I'll use what Sarah mentioned, link rots, right? We have websites from the 2000, from the .com era. We also have websites, as late as 2013 that right now, if you visit them, you get 404 errors. So you're basically at the mercy of these centralized applications to store your data or your website and all the files that it needs to load. If they decide to go down, or the company goes out of business, or maybe you forget to pay your hosting bill, your website is gone. When you upload it to Arweave, you're only going to pay once to get it on Arweave, and the website will be live for at least 200 years. It's probably going to be centuries, but there's an endowment that's set up in a mathematical equation that with that initial payment, whether it's a penny, $1, $100, whatever you pay, depending on the amount of gigabytes that you're uploading to Arweave, that's going to secure that the website is going to be live for 200 years. So I think that's one of the many benefits, but the main one.
Well, to jump into another very, very important reason is data sovereignty. If you're using someone else's platform, you're under their terms and conditions. And if at any time you disappoint the uppers, they can take your site down, and they can make it so that your data, your information, your pictures, your whatever it is that you put on your websites, you're at their mercy. In this way, you have data sovereignty, and that is one of the very important pieces to this puzzle. It's not only that it's permanent, and it has a permanence over, he says 200 years, it's probably far more than that, but it is one of those things where, let's say you are a researcher and you have questionable or controversial leanings. You don't want your research to be ignored, erased, or stolen. Correct attribution is really important too. And no one's going to care about your site, your stuff, like you are. And to do it this way, there is one other piece of the puzzle. In addition to lasting that long, let's say something happens to you and your research partner takes over your business, or your children take over your account. You've already paid the price for them. And so, they get to have that transfer of wealth. It could be currencies, it could be just wisdom in general. If you have a very profitable website with a lot of backlinks, you're going to want to hand that off to your family members, and it can be, self-perpetuating for, 200 years. So depending on how you code it and how you do it, it's a very fascinating ecosystem. And you can get the Arweave white papers. And for those of you that don't like to sift through that kind of stuff, send it through the machine, send it through Multibot or any of the suite of tools in My AI Tutor, and it'll distill down and kind of give you the golden nuggets and the why you should be doing it. The reason why Dio is so passionate about it is because his family was erased. his culture, his language, his religion were erased. And, in discovering his background and his family, he decided, you know what, I'm going to make sure that it never gets that way again. And I think that is something that's very powerful. And when you're building an app for a competition, especially, making sure that everybody knows who created it. You can still have it open source and out in the wild. Most people just want to be remembered and have that relevance. And so that is another reason, a couple reasons, I should say. Data sovereignty, definitely. Avoiding deplatforming and being able to earn a living from your profit, or profit from your labors, and then also being able to hand it down for generations is really important.
100%. And thank you for sharing that. I think as humans, we forget that the victors rewrite history, and many of humanity's history has been erased. But now we have a piece of technology that can make sure that each and every one of us has control of our legacies, and nothing stopping you from putting whatever you want on chain. And no one entity or group of people is going to be able to take it down for at least 200 years, which is more than we had before in the past. So thank you for saying that, Sarah. And quick question: how long can we run this stream? Because I know we're coming close to 4 p.m. I can stay on a little longer. I just want to see if you
What's
guys
your
have a
time
limit.
looking like?
I can do another 20 minutes, and if I have to catch the next bus, I'll stay on a little longer. I think it's important
Yeah,
to
it's
get
up
the
to you.
message
If you
across.
have like 15, 20 minutes, go for it.
Okay, perfect. So,
People definitely are interested. I get a lot of people asking me how to do this, so now it's
okay,
a
yeah, no.
live stream.
And this is going to be recorded, so you can always go back and rewatch the live stream if it helps. All right, so let's move to the next step. We're doing great so far. We have our app where we want it to be. I'm going to quickly just see how it looks. Run npm run dev. Make sure it's loading correctly. You're not going to see the page, but this is for my, yeah, it's loading perfectly
Also, I
fine.
have another question for you that I don't know
Yes.
the answer to. Would
Go
this
ahead.
work for e-commerce sites as well as e-commerce platforms?
So, like I said before, the issues with these e-commerce sites that they usually have like a server, and it's not all static. So you can definitely build a portion of your pages, put it on Arweave, but you have to make sure that it's able to route from one page to the other statically using something like what we're using here, React Router DOM. So if it's something very complex that
So, like
you're
for
probably using.
example, like Stripe has the buttons that you embed. Can you embed on like HTML?
Yes, yes, you can, because all you're doing
I
is
didn't know
leveraging
you
their
could.
API. So yeah,
Yeah,
you can
good.
connect to any API, but what's important to understand that the actual app, that's your app, it's going to be on Arweave, and that has to like navigate statically from one page to the other. But anything that you're connecting it to, as long as their service is working, the app is going to be working. A situation where it may be an issue is you deploy your app on Arweave, Stripe is no longer here, and you have to leverage another tool. Then all you have to do is redeploy your application with the changes, because you're going to lose that portion of your application. But it has nothing to do with Arweave. It has to do with the centralized tooling or service that is no longer around. Because remember, we have to think long term. We're building for the future. And when you build that way, you have to think a little bit differently than what we have today. But I would say something that's very complex e-commerce, and it involves a server for certain things. It may be a little difficult, but you can still make it work. You can still have one page be on Arweave and then still run a backend server or a Verso app and connect your app that way. Like, there are ways to figure it out. Um, but if you want the full website to be permanent and you're trying to have a server connect to it, then that kind of, it makes it not permanent, because the whole point of that is that it's on Arweave and it works. But if you have to connect to a centralized server in any way, then that defeats the purpose of permanence. Um, but we can go more into details. I'll send you guys more documentation that really does a deep dive into these concepts. And then if you have any questions, jump into Discord. I will be more than happy to get you a better answer. Okay. So let's go to the next step. I saw that my app built perfectly, so I'm very happy with it. I'm gonna cancel my build here. And then the next step is to install one tool that we're going to need to spin up an Arweave wallet. I have one ready, but I'm going to spin it up with you so you guys kind of see the process. So it's just called Arweave. Once you install that dependency, we can run one command and it's going to spin up a wallet and give us a key file. That key file is the way you have access to your wallet, and wherever that key file is, that's where your wallet will be. So the key file that we create here in the terminal, if we wanted to import it to something like Wander, which is the MetaMask of Arweave, or Beacon wallets, which is another ecosystem wallet, you can easily do it by uploading the key file, adding the password that you set up on your wallet, and you'll have your wallet with all the assets in it working. And this is something common in Web3 so that you have full control of your assets and you can move them wherever you want. But it's very important to keep this file safe and not deploy it to like a GitHub repo or something like that. So make sure you set up your git ignore file and include that wallet.json, which we're going to build right now. So let's try that out. I have the command ready. So once we install the command that we need to run, this one, you're going to see it on the screen. It's a bit long. So it's this node command, and basically is leveraging this Arweave library, and it's going to initiate a wallet generation, stringify it, and then we're going to basically have a wallet.json file in the root of our app. So let's try that now. Well, I think I missed something. Let's try that again. Oh. Okay, that should work. Oh yeah, I think I have some extra characters there. My apologies. So let's get rid of this quickly. Hold on, I think I'm still in the wrong place. There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry for taking so long to get the cursor where I need it to be. Okay, there we go. This should work. So we're gonna delete the extra characters that we do not need. Hit enter. What just happened? Hold on. Oh, I see. I'm missing. There you go. Okay, so that basically this is our, I guess, secret content within our key, our key file. But let me see if they generated it here. Okay, so okay, I must have missed something. So usually when you do these demos, things don't go exactly how you planned it. But let's see. Try that one more time. Okay. Okay, so it it didn't create it correctly. I think I must have added something extra, but I don't want that. Oh, you know what? I know what I missed. My apologies. My apologies. This is my fault because I took notes preparing for this and I think I missed the character. We're gonna try that one more time. Okay, gonna paste it. There you go. We forgot to tell it where to create the file and the name of the file. So this should work. There we go. That worked. Okay. So make sure to add the last part, which is the greater than wallet.json. And if you see here in the root of our app, we have a new wallet.json file. That's basically your Arweave wallet. And we're going to use it to pay for the deployment of the app. So the next step is to fund your wallet. Now, I'm going to try and see if I can switch screens. But it's pretty straightforward. Let me actually try and switch the screen. Maybe we can do this live with everyone. Hold on 1 second. Where this is what happened before. For some reason, because I have so many pages open, my Brave browser disappeared. So let's see if we can get it back here. No, that's not it. Okay. You know what? It's fine. We're going to just continue here in the terminal. My apologies. But what you're going to do basically is import this wallet.json file into, for example, your Wander wallet, which is just an extension in your browser. And you can download Wander by just going to wander.app. And you can either get the mobile app or you can get the browser extension. Once you set that up for the first time, it'll let you either create a new wallet or import one that you have. So in our situation, we're going to import, and you'll basically just drag and drop this file on there, add a password, and you'll have a fully functional Web3 digital wallet. Um, but once we have that, and I'm gonna do this because it's pretty much done. We're gonna do this in the other app that has the wallet that's funded. But once you have that, you'll go to the Turbo credit top-up page that I showed earlier today. Make sure you either with a credit card or AR, like I explained earlier in the stream, you fund it with turbo credits, and then you're gonna come back to the terminal and deploy a command. And because you have the funds, it'll pay for the upload. So that's the important thing that I can show here on screen. Make sure you take this wallet, import it, or if you already have funds in another wallet, you can transfer it to this wallet address if you choose to do it that way. So let's just continue with the deployment. And like I said, I'm gonna move on to the other application that I already have set up because I know that wallet has funds, and we're simply gonna deploy the app and it should work pretty flawlessly. And the app should be live on the internet with end-to-end SSL encryption, which is key. So let's do that. We're gonna go to my app. Oh, sorry, my RB app. Perfect. So if you'll see, it's the same app. It's no difference. I just already have the right JSON wallets with funds. So because it's there now within my app, the roots, because I installed all the dependencies that I need, all I need to do is run the command to deploy it. So I already have it saved here. Let me hide this. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna get to that command. Where are you? Since I have this a little smaller than usual, the screen, because I'm trying to read some notes, it's like kind of messing up the text, but it's fine. Let me just get the command from here. Turbo Critic. Perfect. Okay, here we go. So very important, and I'll go through this again because it is an important part. In your JSON package.json file, make sure you add the deploy script. That's for PermaWeb deploy. And then towards the end, once you register an RNS name, right, you're gonna add this flag, RNS name, and then the actual name. And the tool will find that name on Arweave, the contract, the end contract. And because your wallet owns it and has access to make changes, it'll be able to update the hash that's gonna point to your websites. You don't have to do this necessarily. You can easily find your website by using a gateway, and I'll go into depth next time as to what a gateway is. But for example, rweave.net/, and then appending that hash, and it's going to take you to where that file or that folder lives on Arweave and load your website. So once you have that set up, then we can just simply run the command to deploy it. Okay, I'm being wrong. And the command is simple because it is a script in our JSON file. All we have to do is type npm run deploy, which is the script that we have here. And then once we deploy that, you'll see that it'll take the build file that's here and then deploy to Arweave. You can see the data. It took the entire file and the entire folder and all the assets, uploaded it to Arweave. It gave us a unique hash. And most importantly, it created this manifest file. And the manifest file is just a JSON file that maps out everything within that folder. Assets, CSS files, JavaScript files. And then when you point to that manifest file, it'll load everything. And you'll see, I'll show this right now. We can just copy this manifest hash here, right? And then we can, and I wish I can share this. Let me see if I can. Technology sometimes works against you. I'm so sorry about that. Like I'm trying to load and open up the right browser page and it is just frozen. But gosh, I don't want to leave the stream again. This is so unfortunate. I am so sorry about this, everyone.
You know what, Teal? It's not just you. It's all of various streams in general. Twitter is also having issues, and so is YouTube. So it's probably solar flares or Mercury going retrograde. So don't even fret. You'll get it all right.
Okay. Well,
Akuna,
thank you. No, yeah, and you're right. Sometimes, like I said, technology works against you, but it's fine. All everyone has to do, and you can try this right now if you want. You can take this hash that I have here, or the hash that you get when you build this and deploy it, and then just append it to anything like HTTPS. I'm typing it in the terminal so you know how it looks. rweave.net, which is a gateway, and then forward slash and the hash. So if you copy this into your terminal, it's going to load your website exactly how you built it. So I'm going to do that myself in my browser, paste it, and just to verify that it is loading. And on my website, it's loading. Perfect. I can see the website. If you want, I can share this. No, I can't because I cannot open StreamYard right now. But if you want to like copy it from the stream and do the same thing that I did, you're going to reach this website. And this is living on Arweave. And that's pretty much it. That's all it takes. Build your application. You got to make sure you use certain things like React routing so that it works and it loads all the assets. And then fund your wallet, run the command, and get it deployed. There are other ways to do it. You don't have to do it in the terminal. There are applications like Hard Drive where you basically do the same process, but in the UI, you upload the build folder, you create a manifest file within that folder, and then once you do that, you can just point to that hash that points to the manifest file, and your website it's going to work. And that's it. And before we leave, I wanted to do one last thing, but that's basically the demo for this part. If anyone has any questions, please come back and talk to me in Discord. And all the links that Sarah provided, they're going to basically walk you through the same steps and explain everything in more depth than I just did. So I recommend everyone, do a deep dive into Arweave with some of these links that I provided. And if you have any questions after that, jump into the Bazaar Discord. You can find that link on the Bazaar website towards the bottom, or if you follow ELTÍO, you can find it that way. But I'll make sure to share it as well here with Sarah, so she can also provide it to you guys if you want to jump in and ask some questions. But I want to do one last little demo. This will be a lot quicker, and it's focused on Bazaar. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave the stream because I have to jump back in so I can see StreamYard again. So I'll be right back in 1 minute. My apologies.
That's no problem whatsoever. Hey, while Tio is taking a lap, a couple things. One of the coolest applications of my AI tutor and their suite of tools, I know that Arweave is new to a lot of you. Sending it through any of these models and asking them for the distillation is super helpful, especially for those of you that aren't familiar with things like blockchain and opening up a wallet. This might be very foreign to you. And I will tell you, I have a Wander wallet. It was called something else before then, but it's very easy. And there are a couple housekeeping things that you should know. You do want to make sure that you're keeping your seed phrases, for instance, private. For you developer types, it's kind of like guarding and safeguarding your APIs, right? You want to make sure that you're not sharing them or putting them out in the open, and you want to make sure that you don't lose track of them, because that is something that is very different in decentralized ecosystems. You are accountable. You are your own bank. You are your own manufacturer. You are your own everything. So, no one's going to swoop in and save you, put it that way. There are no safety nets when it comes to those kinds of things. So, pay attention to them. If you have questions, go to ELTÍO or I or Ross, trusted folks, because, blockchain can be a little bit weird, and you want to make sure that you are very cognizant about who you are associating with. Don't click on any unfamiliar or unsolicited links. That's also something that's very important. The links that we included in the Slack channel, those are the ones you should be using. Don't go hunting and gathering for your own. Um, you can be led astray, and it can infect your computer. It could take away your money. It can do all sorts of things, and you don't want to do that. So definitely learn those kinds of practices. For those of you also, I'm going to add a link to the Discord. If you are not familiar with Discord, I know some of you might not even, it might not even be on your radar. Discord, by and large, was made for gamers so that they could kind of chit chat with each other. But then in about 2018, 19, right before COVID, people started creating entire ecosystems and token gating them with blockchain technology, which is always really cool. The whole entire history is really fun. But this is definitely something that is going to be foreign to a lot of folks. And so you definitely want to do your due diligence. I know that time is of the essence too. So you're probably freaking out and going, I can't even believe it. I'm doing a hackathon and you want me to learn something all new. Um, you don't necessarily have to have this. This isn't a challenge per se. It's not something that you have to check the box off in order to, submit your project. It's an accessory. It's something that deserves a spot in your workflow, especially if you want to digitally notarize your work in an irrefutable way, in a permanent way, and maintain the sovereignty you have over your data. So those are the kinds of things that I want you to be aware of. No, this is not one of the challenges. You had your challenge this morning. We only give those out in the morning. We are adding in guest speakers and having them talk about the technology that they're the most familiar with, or things that can add such richness to your projects. Arweave is one of those things, especially if, let's say, I don't know, your app is something for health related, or like Ross had mentioned before, you want to have data permanence. You want to come back to your app and be able to pick up your conversation where it left off. Well, what happens with that data? Where does it go? How do you safeguard it and store it? And in some cases, this is a very valuable tool to have in your toolbox or quiver. So that is one of the reasons why we're showing it to you. And definitely because we do have a lot of people who have been deplatformed. We have a lot of people that have had their accounts censored. We have a lot of people that have had their IP stolen. They've joined incubators and showed off their project, and then the folks that were leading the incubator went ahead and took it, right? These are the kinds of things that it's very difficult, especially if you're the small man on the totem pole. We want to give you all the tools you need to be successful. So no, this is not a qualification. It's not a requirement, but it's definitely something you should have on your radar, especially if you want to live a life of relevance. You want 20 years of relevance, not 20 seconds of fame. So I think we have ELTÍO back. He is now putting up, I think this is bizarre. I have a teeny tiny screen and readers on the edge of my nose, like a proper Gen Xer. So I hope that Tio is back. Tio, do you have a live mic? I see it. Ross, you need to add Tio. I think that he is checking in the side.
I already did. He's here.
Oh, well, I'm waiting to see. I'm telling you, folks, if you do not know the weirdness that is happening off planet right now, whether it is a giant plasma column heading towards Earth, a new planet that was kind of discovered that's sort of a planet, it's kind of like a Pluto kind of planet. And we definitely have some major issues with various platforms. So if you've been kicked out, or if you are, I know, right? I'm so sorry, Tio. I know it sucks too, because you have everything down to science, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have to, be humbled by technology. But that's part of the fun of it too. We learn how to be better humans when we are constantly having to pivot and think outside of the box. And that's what hackathons are for, because if it always goes according to plan, what fun would that be? Um,
That's so true.
are you back, my love? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I am back, and this is going to be very quick. What I'm going to walk you guys through is how powerful Arweave can be, and how you can use the platform that I am in charge of now, called Bazaar. And if you're familiar with Ethereum, it's basically the OpenSea on Arweave. You can use it to create our versions of NFTs that are called atomic assets. You can trade the atomic assets as well, and the cool thing is that anything can be an atomic asset. Any file type can be uploaded onto Arweave as an atomic asset. And I'm going to walk you through uploading an HTML file. And you're going to be able to see the file render in Bazaar right in the atomic assets. And I think that's pretty powerful, because you can build a full website just in an HTML file. Make sure you embed the CSS and the JavaScript. And as so long as everything is in that file, you can render it in the atomic asset. So we're going to do that quickly. I was going to show you guys how to set up the HTML file, but this is pretty basic. I'm sure you guys can figure that out, so especially with AI. But this is Bazaar. This is the front end of the website. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on Create, which is the uploader on Bazaar. And I'm going to have to switch the screen quickly because it's a separate page. I hope you can see this. Let me just double check. Yes, you can see the uploader. So as you can see, I went to the studio version of Bazaar, and it's pretty straightforward. You're going to connect your wallet. Like I said, that's Wander Wallet. I'm going to connect mine. It's going to ask you to sign so you can get access. I'm going to do that. And since I'm using a brand new wallet, it's going to ask me to create a Bazaar profile. And these Bazaar profiles, they're basically account abstractions. They're like a mini wallet within your wallet. Let's say you can send tokens to them. You can send atomic assets, but it is controlled by your main wallet. These profiles just went through a recent upgrade, and now they're working with our latest technology called Hyperbeam. So these are the newer zone profiles that were integrated into Bazaar, I would say, a few weeks ago. So when you first come in, if you don't have one, it's going to prompt you to create a profile. And it made me switch the screen, so I'm going to quickly create the profile, and let's just give it a name, give it a description, so that I can identify yourself. You can identify yourself with it. Let me just do that quickly. Handle the same. It's only take a second. And then once I create my profile, then I should be able to upload atomic assets. And the cool thing is that on Bazaar, right now we're covering your uploads. So it's free of charge to create a collection. And I would advise everyone to try it out, test that app. And if you see any issues, please bring it back to me, because my job is to figure it out and fix it. So I'm going to refresh the page now that I have my profile. You can see this hash. This is the profile, right? So now I should be able to go to upload. There you go. Now when I go to upload, this is the normal uploader. So you can either create a collection, and within a collection, you can have many atomic assets, or I already have a collection made. I'm just going to upload an atomic asset. So we're going to click select and find the file. So I already have the file ready. Let me just select it, and it's just an HTML file. We're going to select it. Click here on the three buttons, give it a name. We're going to say 3D model, right? That's what I am going to display. And you can give it a description as well. Okay, and then if you already have some collections, it'll say, hey, do you want to create a collection? Or do you want to add this atomic asset to a current collection? I do not have one, but it's okay. We're just going to upload the assets. Here you can decide how many fractions of that one asset you want to have. You can have just one of one, meaning that you can only transfer one share of that assets, or you can divide it into 100 equal shares, and many owners can own that one atomic asset. We tend to add tags, then this is just metadata that lives with the assets. It has many use cases, but you can use it to easily find the atomic assets on Arweave when you're fetching the data. So I'm just gonna select one, and then here, if there's a 3D model or an audio file, it will prompt you to select. But in our case, it's an HTML file, so we won't need that. Yeah, the profile is there. Perfect. So now we can also add a license. And this is something unique to Atomic Assets. Our version of NFTs, you can add a UDL license. It stands for Universal Data License. And that lives on Arweave with the Atomic Assets. So you can actually tell people and dictate the terms of use for these assets so that if someone uses it, they have to abide by them. It doesn't matter if it's Spotify or any third-party platform. If they want to use your piece of art, they're going to have to pay you before they can profit. It's just one of the many use cases. So I'll select no commercial use. It's just we're testing. Um, so I already created the profile. So let me,
Just to jump in real quick,
yes.
NFT. An NFT, to answer the question, is a non-fungible token. That means it's something that is totally unique. And that's why blockchain is very important. There's a whole section that you can learn later, but the equivalent would be like a piece of land or a bar of gold that has a specific number. These are what we call one of ones. That's what ELTÍO is mentioning. A non-fungible token means that there is nothing like it in the world. It is a one of one, just like you are, folks. You are a one of one. You are completely unique. And when he is saying a collection of like 100, each one of these is digitally different from the others, and it's digitally notarized on the blockchain. And that's why you can assign a royalty. I know it sounds confusing, but if you're an artist and you want to create a picture of a bunny rabbit and Target wants to put it on a pillowcase, then you're going to say, hey, yeah, you can use my art, but you have to pay me 10% of every single sale that little bunny rabbit goes on. And that way you can earn revenue streams in perpetuity, or depending on the contract that you've created. When you're creating contracts on Bazaar, you are setting the parameters to allow someone to use your handiwork, your one of one, your specialness. So let's say you're creating an app, right? And your app is amazing. You can sell it on these kinds of marketplaces. It's very interesting. You'll have to push the innovation, but there are lots of people that can help you. If you do not know these terms, add them to your notebook and get to know them, because it is we have to set up parallel economies. You can't depend on just having a storefront on a website or a storefront out in the real world. You have to have a place in the digital overlay for you to have your wares seen by other people. So that is what he was talking about. We can go into better and bigger detail. It is kind of foreign to most people that don't dabble in the dark arts of pirate money and crypto and blockchain. But it is something that you should learn about, because it is a very important piece to all businesses that want to have a decentralized kind of ecosystem. So I hope I answered your question, and I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead, Elvio.
No worries. That was a great explanation. I appreciate the help. And Ross, if you can share this new screen that I have, uh, I ended up just loading my personal profile because since we're using Hyperbeam and parts of Bazaar is still running on legacy nets, it takes a little while to fetch the new profiles. So I wanted to make sure I did this quickly. So now you're seeing my personal profile. As you can see, I have an image and my handle and Theo. And this is the same page that I was showing before. But since I have collections that I have already made, you can see the collections here and some of the atomic assets that I have created. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to upload. Hopefully, oh, wait, I'm not on the right page. Okay, here we are. So we're gonna go to upload, right? Same thing as we did before. We're just gonna select the file. Okay, you cannot see it, but I can. Good, as you can see, I selected the file. It was an index file, and we're gonna give it a name. 3D model, right? Save that. You should add a description as well, but you don't have to. And then I already have a collection that I want to add this to. And as you can see now, because I have collections that I created in the past, I can select the current collection to add this atomic asset to. So I'm going to add it to this one. And then we're going to just, like we did before, select the amount of shares, add tags, make sure that you choose if you want to make the atomic asset transferable, because there is an option to make it that you cannot transfer it to anyone. That term is known as soul-bound tokens. But we want to be able to transfer it, especially if you're trying to sell an atomic asset. You want to make sure it is transferable. And that's it. Select the license. I do not want one. Next. And then here is just goes over everything you selected. Make sure it is as you want it to be. And just click upload. And instantly, it's going to ask you to upload. I have to sign, so I got to quickly enter my password. Okay, perfect. And then you'll see it uploaded the asset instantly. It's already on Arweave. And right here, if I click on the model, you'll see how it renders. So let me just, it did render there. Perfect. So as you can see, this is the atomic assets, and it's a 3D model moving because it is actually an HTML file working with 3JS. And this is an actual token with an HTML file embedded in it. And I think it's pretty cool because you can build full websites, turn it into atomic assets, trade them, and add UDL if you want. But there's basically no limitation to the types of atomic assets that you can create, because you can upload any file type to Arweave. So just wanted to show this bit because I thought it was pretty cool. I would love to see more people try this out and kind of see what you guys upload to Arweave with Bazaar.
It's
But
really
I think
cool,
that's the
ELTÍO.
end.
Like, I've never seen any of this stuff, so this is really cool.
Oh, well, if you're impressed, then yes, I'm happy because you impress me with everything you do. So thank you for saying that. I would say just use Bazaar. That's all I want people to use it more. If you have any issues or you break it, let me know so we can improve and make it better. But thank you everyone for having me. That's basically the end of my demo. I hope someone finds it helpful. And like Sarah said, this is not needed for your hackathon. This is an added bonus. It will be nice if I see some submissions that are in Arweave, but it's not necessary. It's definitely not necessary.
Well, a lot of the skills that they're using right now in learning in our hackathon, the AI Mastery Hackathon, could serve them well for your hackathon. Did you have any details that you wanted to give about the upcoming Arweave Hackathon?
Yeah, I was about to ask him to talk about that.
Excellent, Ross. I was reading your mind. Brilliant minds, man. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for allowing me to do that. Yes, I will quickly talk about a hackathon that we're hosting here. The team at AO, and we work closely together. They're also part of Forward Research. And yeah, we have an AI focused hackathon right now. The registrations are open and it begins August 11th and it runs until September the 6th. And we're just looking for people to build AI agents on AO. So given that everyone here is already building with AI, it won't take much to figure out how to build out AI agents on AO. And a quick rundown of what AO is the computational layer that we needed on top of the hard drive that is Arweave. And you can spin up these small VMs that allow you to add functionality into them, like smart contracts. And these small processes, they can also be AI agents. So we're looking for people to understand AO, understand how to build these AI agents, and create some cool things, some cool use cases that solve actual problems. So I'll quickly show you one of the pages that I built for the hackathon. This is my PermaHub, one of the projects that I have.
Also, if you could send Sarah the link to drop in the Slack, that'd be awesome to register.
I'll do that right now. I'll send this PermaHub hackathon page, and you can just hit register once you land here, and then you'll be taken to the Luma link where you can register. But I built this in a couple of weeks for the hackathon, and we're promoting some of the information. There's a total of like $39,000 in prizes. It'll run down the details of the hackathon. Like I said, it begins the 11th and it ends on the 6th with a demo day and all of that. And basically, if you look here, this is what we're asking you to do. Use AO with HTTP messaging. That's Hyperbeam, the new way that we're fetching information from these AO processes now that we're on mainnet. We want these autonomous agents to run for at least 72 hours. AO processes allow you to use crons so they can initialize themselves after a certain amount of time. So that's very useful for AI agents. And then we want data to be stored on Arweave. We want you to solve a real world problem and also open source with docs. So, and there's something I wanted to mention, even if you're not submitting for this hackathon that you're working on right now, and you don't need to deploy to Arweave, maybe you want to build a documentation page that talks about your app, and that's something that you may want to deploy to Arweave, just so you guys have that in the back of your mind. But this is pretty much the hackathon. I think it lends well to what's going on, and you have time to register. So give it a go. You're already participating in a hackathon. I don't see why not participate in another one and open up your opportunities a little bit more. I don't know if I missed anything, Sarah, but that's pretty much the rundown of it
Excellent.
all.
It's very, very good. Do you know off the top of your head when registration closes for your hackathon?
Yes, you know,
Trying to look.
it's
Go ahead.
actually here. So registration started the 30th. So I think August 11th. Yeah. So registration is gonna end by August 7th. It's right here on the website. So you
There
have
you go.
until August the 7th to register.
Very good. So you have time. You have time, folks. And I will tell you, there is no better way to get to know stuff than to break open the package and void the warranties. You know, if you want to learn about the Arweave ecosystem in its entirety, the best way to do that is to get your hands dirty and get knee deep in a hackathon. And I will tell you, there are a couple different hackathons. We also have the Bolt hackathon that is going on too. You're learning some really cool stuff, and you'll be surrounded with other doers. And that's something that's very powerful. When you are around other people building and doing, it's contagious. You want to build too, and you spar those ideas. I know that Ross and I do this frequently, and definitely ELTÍO and I do this frequently. Is where you start to spar and ask different ideas. Sometimes they're a total crash and burn. You know, you come up with something that you think is absolutely brilliant, especially when you're in the shower or in the car doing car karaoke by yourself. You think that, yes, this is the next best thing. And then when you start talking it out with somebody else and they start poking holes in it, you're like, huh, yeah, I didn't think that one through. But you do want to surround yourself with people that are unconventional in their doing and thinking, and wonderful, helpful folks. And I can tell you, the Arweave community is filled with them. And I'm really excited that you're a judge, ELTÍO. It is a tremendous honor to have you on board, and your perspective in looking at everybody else's submissions. People don't realize how many hackathons you do, which is quite a few. And so I am very, very grateful for Tech in Schools, Ross, Nick Alisher, and Ross behind the scenes really went out of their way to pick a huge diversity, a diverse group of people with different skill sets and expertise that they're bringing to the table, whether it's art, whether it's, coding, whether it's, marketplaces like this, or just new emerging technologies that will make your life better. It's really amazing to have those kinds of people at your fingertips, not only judging and critiquing your work, but then after the hackathon is done and over with, you have these people in your pocket family, and you can continue to build side by side with some really amazing folks. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you that listened to the live stream for the last hour and 20 some odd minutes. It is recorded, so you can always go back. We did move things fairly quickly. I know that the screen was teeny tiny, and you're trying to understand the lay of the land, but you can use your large language models to give you a transcript. You can put that thing into the machine and have it spit it out if you want to go that way and in that direction for your own hackathon submissions. But like we said before, it's not necessarily a requirement, but it definitely falls in line with that lower half of the day's things, the things that you want to take it up a notch and add the bells and whistles and the fancy, icing on the cake. these would be those kinds of activities and those kinds of technologies that you should be aware of and embed where necessary. So thank you for attending today. If it is daytime and you still have some day left, I hope it treats you kindly. If it's time to take a nap or go to bed, I hope all your good dreams catch you. To LTO, Bazaar, the whole entire team at Arweave and in the Arweave ecosystem, thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know how busy you are in, working on your own stuff behind the scenes, so really appreciate it. And obviously, Ross, you're the man. You've had such a busy day, and being behind the scenes and hosting not just one, not just two, but also, gallivanting around like a little, butterfly to all of the other spaces and making sure to connect with all of our sponsors today. I'm just really proud to be a part of the team and to be in the presence of all of you. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Ross, did you have any final parting shots, or ELTÍO parting shots before we close her up?
I'll quickly jump in and say thank you for having me. It is a true honor. I've been following the tech in schools community for quite some time, and I really admire everything that's being done here. And I'll end with, if anyone has questions, look me up, ask Sarah to give you my handle, or just jump into the Bazaar Discord and we can continue the conversation there. And just before we leave, so you can see what's possible, if you look at this hackathon page, this is also a perma site. It is deployed on Arweave, and just so you can see what's possible, what you can build, fully flex websites, and this site is going to be available for the next 200 years, thanks to the technology. And thank you all.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining, and we have more to come, and we will see you tomorrow for our next challenge.